And welcome to this week's Q&A session. My name is Jamie and I am your host here at Scriptcase. So today we have some questions for you guys and also some answers to some of those that have, of course, already been sent in. Now you can go ahead and ask some questions during the chat, during the live session if you like. And if we have time, we might just get to them. Otherwise, I'm afraid we have some selected questions. So let's see. We have our first question from Matthew. How do you have login user-based queries, i.e. user login and only see their records? So of course I have prepared something for that. So let me make sure I can log back in here and open an application. Not that it's kicked me out already. And there we have our grid application. So if I go ahead and run this now, you'll see here I have a very basic grid with some client information. And I can just show you the table for that as well very quickly. So here the clients table, and there is the structure for that. So it's just an add date, an owner. So that's what I'm using for my choice here. So for the user, basically, who is going to view this now. And of course, within the grid application, I can go ahead here to the SQL and modify the SQL statement. So here, for instance, I can say where active one, and that is how I have it, set up right now. So I could go ahead and just remove that, and that will then show me all of the active as well as inactive clients. And of course, right now, there are none of them that are inactive. Okay, so with that where statement, it's really as simple as it gets. And of course, I have added here the owner field within my table. So whenever I add now within the form, I will then also indicate who the owner is. And then here within my where statement, I can add an and, for instance, and say where owner equals then here my user underscore login, which is then the global variable for the user account that has logged in. And of course, you may want to configure or may have reconfigured the security in some way that it's not based on the user, that's based on an ID or whatever else. And of course, it's the same. You just apply here the select, and then with that, so now if I go run, I'm now requested the user login. And if I add my email address in there, I can go grid clients. And now I have no clients because none of those were added with my username. So it really is as simple as that. So I hope that has answered that question. So let me come back here. And of course, with that, you would then only see the relevant records to that user. Now, I could just leave it there. But I didn't want to do that because there is a little more to this. So I actually prepared something else here as well. So if I come here to the events, for instance, and on application init, I added here the option of using here the macros. So if you check out in the help documentation of Scriptcase, there you have the macros, and there you have the SC select where and add, and this will then add to the select statement. So in this case, I will have to, of course, remove the where from my original select and maybe even, of course, change here the and, but it's just as an example because you can add an and in there if I wanted to, or a where statement. So really you could use that in so many other ways than just requested here within this question. So I hope that helps Matthew, and of course anybody else that has had the same question.